Velma has become a very hot topic because it's been trending on social media, and every time you think there's nothing else to talk about until the next episode comes out, something releases like rumors their gender and species swapping Scooby. Mindy brags about how her show became the highest viewed HBO animated original, even though there's only 4 others HBO has created exclusively for their service, and now there's new attacks being unleashed upon us simply because we dislike this show. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and to the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So as you can see, this is an out.com article, and I figured we would start with this one. It says Velma is much better than the haters and trolls want you to believe. Now, there are some outlets who got to see it early, but they are very split. As you know, I've talked about it. The Rotten Tomatoes score, just looking at the critic one for a moment, it is currently at a 57%, meaning half of them liked it, half of them disliked it. And before Velma actually came out, I did talk about some articles that released by Shill Media saying it's great, it's diverse, it's inclusive, it's different, it's with the times and modern, and they absolutely loved it. And then, of course, we found out just how split the critics were, but there are still those very dedicated shills who are trying their best to defend this show, and of course, to do that, they have to call us racist. It says, when Velma premiered on HBO Max this past week, it became the streamer's most watched animated series debut ever. However, it also became one of the worst reviewed shows of the last few years. This is probably one of the worst reviewed shows ever, period. I mean, it is currently sitting at a 6% average audience. It only has to drop 2% more to beat HBO's other animated original that is currently holding the top spot as the, worst HBO rated show, which is Santa Inc., but it's almost there, only 2% to go. But it says, unfortunately, most of the hate being aimed at the show isn't just a huge overreaction to a fairly good show with a lot of potential, but it's also led by an angry mob of online trolls who haven't watched the show and wouldn't give it a fair shake if they did. Now, I will say I did attempt to give this a chance. I watched the first 2 episodes that released, and they were god-awful. I didn't give HBO any of my money, but I did get a chance to watch them, and hey, I can say I tried it. I watched it, I went into it thinking maybe it will not be so bad, but it blew away my expectations because it was even worse than I could have anticipated. I mean, it is just one of the worst shows I have ever seen. It is in the top 5, and it's not just because of the show, it's because of what the show stands for and what it means. It means that these people went into this project knowing they wanted to throw away source material, knowing that they didn't want to stay faithful to Scooby-Doo and this franchise, and they wanted to actively make it different. Of course, they changed characters around, Velma, Daphne, Fred. They're very different than their original versions. It's not even Shaggy anymore, it's Norville, and we don't even have Scooby. This show is just not worth it. It says at the time of writing, it has an absurd 6% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 1.4 out of 10 star rating on IMDb. Some viewers are calling it one of the worst shows they ever seen. Those viewers are not telling the truth. I think that it's funny that they word it this way because this writer is probably the type of person who says everyone has their own truths. Everybody has different opinions and we need to respect people, but of course they do not want to respect us simply because we think that this show is trash. It is bad, and the viewers are telling the truth. You know, if there were people who liked this show, this score would not be this low. It would not be at a 6%, it would be at like a 30 or a 40, but it can't even get past a 10. I mean, that is how much people dislike this. Maybe there are a few people out there who are really enjoying it, but clearly they're not showing up to actually praise it on social media, on Rotten Tomatoes, or on IMDb. So it says most of the show's critics are bombing it because they claim it is racist and wokeness gone too far, and these complaints hold so little water, it's barely worth addressing. Well, funny enough, you're writing an article, you put time and effort into this, you're probably promoting it on social media, so clearly it is worth addressing because it triggers you so much. It says it's a fun little update of classic characters that fills them out into more than just their source material. See, that's the problem, is that these characters are not their source material at all whatsoever, and that is what most people criticizing this show have said. It is not the original gang. It's not the characters that we know, and you decided to remove characters that we know because it wouldn't fit in the theme, or that's what they say. That's the problem with this series. But instead of just, you know, accepting the fact that we don't like it, this is what they've decided to put out. I mean, this whole article is filled with coping. They're trying to find every reason to defend this show and call us ists instead of just accepting that people don't like it. And most people think that it's awful. Screen Rant also put up a very similar article. Velma premiere directly responds to the show's racist backlash. It says, the core concept of it as a rated R Scooby-Doo spinoff has been dismissed as a bad idea, as many Scooby-Doo productions have already explored a darker take on the classic cartoons. I've said this before, but I think that a rated R Scooby-Doo spinoff would have been fantastic if you had the original characters and the versions of them, and you had Scooby, and you tried to make it feel like, you know, Mystery Incorporated, but you just had some more, you know, edgy adult humor. It could have worked, but it didn't in this case because it was just a Mindy Kaling self-insert, you know, diversity checkbox series. It says, the opening scene of the premiere tackles this Velma show controversy directly, with Velma asking her frenemy, Daphne, how she feels about race-blind casting in the middle of a discussion of television shows. Daphne surprises Velma with her nuanced answer, noting that while it is a thorny issue and that she appreciates seeing more diverse ensembles as an Asian woman, she does find it ironic that the people who complain about colorblind casting love it when white people play Jesus. That's a whole argument that we're not going to get into here, but they did try to make this show to say F the trolls. It's She-Hulk all over again. We heard, you know, the writers, producers basically say that they only made She-Hulk to troll the trolls, and this series was made to troll people. They only put this line in because they knew it would upset people. It's like they wanted to create the series and upset people. It's like they wanted everybody to absolutely hate them, which of course isn't true, because ultimately they did put time and money into it, and they want another season so that they can, you know, keep getting paid as actors. But it is just pathetic that this show exists. The dialogue that is in this, all the changes that they made, and, you know, like I mentioned, instead of just accepting that, hey, people dislike this series, no, they have decided to attack us and call us awful things. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.